At Takamori Property Group, nearly everyone knew which executives mattered and which clients could change a career. They also knew which names were worth remembering. Almost nobody remembered the Japanese building attendant who cleaned the lobby after midnight. Nia Okafor did. What she did not know was that the quiet man she was beginning to trust had more power in that building than anyone who looked down on him. If you're listening from the United States, tell me where you're listening from in the comments. Nia Okafor noticed Ren Takamori because someone was being rude to him. It was close to 9 on a Thursday evening. The design floor had long since emptied. Nia had come downstairs for coffee. She had spent 3 hours correcting a commercial presentation that should have been finished before dinner. Near the lobby elevators, a young executive dropped an empty cup beside a waste bin. Ren was standing less than 2 meters away with a cleaning cart. The executive glanced at the cup, then at him. "You missed one." Ren looked down. For half a second, Nia expected him to say something. He didn't. He bent, he picked up the cup, and placed it inside the bin. "Good night, sir." The executive walked away without answering. Nia stood near the elevator doors, watching. Ren noticed her. His expression changed slightly. Not embarrassment, more like the calm recognition of someone who knew exactly what she had seen. Nia crossed the lobby. "You didn't miss anything." Ren rested one hand on the cleaning cart. "I know." Then, "Why didn't you tell him?" A faint smile appeared. Would it have improved his evening? Nia stared at him. "That isn't the point." No. He considered that then, nodded once. "Maybe you're right." His English was precise, with a restrained Japanese accent she had heard before among senior executives transferred from Tokyo. It did not match the careless assumptions people made about him. Nia folded her arms. "You always let people speak to you like that." "Not always. When don't you?" "When it matters." That answer stayed with her. She had been at the Singapore headquarters for 3 months, long enough to understand the office hierarchy, long enough to know which directors demanded silence when they entered a meeting, long enough to know that assistants stood straighter when certain surnames appeared on calendars. Ren belonged to none of those categories. At least, that was what everyone assumed. He wore a charcoal maintenance uniform with Takamori Property Group embroidered above the chest pocket. He worked evening shifts, cleaned executive common areas, handled minor repairs, and checked meeting rooms. Somehow, he seemed to know every security guard in the building. Nia had started greeting him during her first week. "Good evening, Ren." The first time she said it, he had looked up as though she had surprised him. After that, he always answered. "Good evening, Ms. Okafor." Most employees called her Nia. Ren did not. She had told him twice that he could. He still called her Ms. Okafor. That Thursday, she pointed toward the cafe. "Have you eaten?" He glanced at the clock. "Not yet." "Neither have I. I thought you were getting coffee." "I was." Then I remembered coffee isn't dinner. Ren looked toward his cart. "I still have work." "So do I." She began walking. After 3 steps, she looked back. "You're allowed 10 minutes, aren't you?" His mouth moved into the smallest smile. 15. Then don't waste them. 5 minutes later, they were sitting at a quiet table near the rear of the nearly empty cafeteria. Nia picked at a bowl of noodles she barely wanted. Ren had brought food from home, rice-grilled salmon vegetables packed carefully in a simple container. She looked at it. "You made that?" "Yes. You cook a dangerous amount." She laughed before she could stop herself. It had been a difficult week. Her project director had rejected 2 concepts. A former colleague in London had forwarded another engagement photo from the man she had almost married. She had deleted it without replying. Ren did not know any of that. That was partly why sitting across from him felt easy. He was not connected to her old life. He did not know the version of her people had discussed after the engagement ended. He only knew the woman who worked late and forgot to eat. "You're not from Singapore," he said. "London." "I know." She narrowed her eyes. How your accent? That's disappointing. I thought I was mysterious. You carry drawing pens in 3 separate cases. What does that have to do with mystery? Very organized people are rarely mysterious. Nia looked at his perfectly arranged lunch. You're judging me? Observing. That's worse. He smiled. For the first time, she noticed how different he looked when he relaxed. Younger, less guarded. A cleaner passed their table carrying a stack of trays. One slipped. A glass fell and shattered. The young man froze. Several people turned. Ren stood immediately. Don't move. The cleaner looked terrified. I'll clean it. You'll cut yourself. Ren took the broom from the nearby station and cleared the broken glass himself. The cleaner kept apologizing. Ren ignored the apologies. Are you hurt? No. Then we're fine. Nia watched quietly. He had asked about the person before the damage. That detail mattered to her. Her mother had spent 30 years running a small catering business in East London. Nia had grown up watching wealthy clients speak warmly to owners and dismissively to kitchen staff. Her mother had once told her that manners toward powerful people proved almost nothing. Watch how someone treats the person carrying the plates. That was where character appeared. Ren returned to the table. You do that often? Nia asked. What? Take responsibility for things that aren't yours. He picked up his chopsticks. It was broken glass. That isn't what I meant. He met her eyes. For a moment, neither spoke. Then, his phone vibrated. Ren looked down. His face changed, only slightly. But Nia saw it. He silenced the call without answering. What he asked? Nothing. She had caught only part of the screen. A Japanese name she didn't recognize. Below it, 2 English words. Board office. Ren slid the phone into his pocket. Nia said nothing. The following evening, rain hit the building hard enough to delay most taxis. Nia had stayed late again. When she reached the service lobby, Ren was dragging a heavy equipment case toward a storage room. She walked over. Move. He looked at her. Excuse me? You're lifting it wrong. I am not. You are. She grabbed the opposite handle. Ren stared. Ms. Okafor. Nia, this is heavy. I noticed. You're wearing office shoes. I also noticed that. Together, they carried the case inside. Ren unlocked the storage room. Nia stopped. Everything was arranged with absurd precision. Tools aligned by size. Replacement fixtures labeled. Cleaning supplies stacked by category. She looked at him. You have a problem. I prefer order. You alphabetized maintenance chemicals. That's called efficiency. That is called a problem. He laughed. A real laugh this time. Nia smiled before looking away. When they finally stepped outside, the rain had softened but not stopped. Ren opened a plain black umbrella. Nia checked her phone. No cars available. You can share mine. She looked at the umbrella. That thing barely covers you. It will cover both of us. Only if we become much better friends very quickly. Ren almost smiled. Almost. They stepped beneath it anyway. Their shoulders touched as they walked toward the main road. Neither moved away. Halfway to the taxi stand, an elderly woman struggled with 2 grocery bags near the crossing. Ren stopped immediately. He handed Nia the umbrella. Hold this. Then he walked into the rain. He took both bags from the woman and carried them across the street. By the time he returned, his shirt beneath the maintenance jacket was wet. Nia stared at him. You could have kept the umbrella. She needed both hands. You're impossible. I've heard that before. From who? Ren hesitated. My grandmother. His features eased at the edges. Nia did not ask more. A taxi finally stopped. Before getting inside, she looked back. Good night, Ren. Good night, Nia. It was the first time he used her first name. She smiled and closed the door. The taxi pulled away. Nia looked through the rain-streaked window. Ren remained near the curb. Then something strange happened. A black sedan approached from the opposite direction. It stopped directly beside him. A man in a dark suit stepped out. He opened the rear passenger door. Then he bowed, not casually, respectfully. Ren looked around once. Then he entered the car. Nia sat forward. The sedan disappeared into traffic. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she looked back at the empty curb. The quiet building attendant ate homemade rice from a plastic container. He had just been collected by a chauffeured luxury car, and for the first time, Nia wondered whether everyone in that office had been wrong about Ren. Including her. The next evening, Ren was already inside the building when Nia arrived. She saw him through the glass doors, checking a damaged access panel beside the reception desk. He looked exactly as he had before. Same charcoal uniform, same controlled expression, same quiet concentration. No driver, no black sedan, no indication that anything unusual had happened. Nia slowed for half a second. Ren looked up. "Good evening, Nia," she answered normally. "Good evening," that was all. She did not ask about the car. For the first hour, she almost convinced herself to let it go. Then Ren appeared on the design floor, carrying a replacement lamp for one of the drafting tables. Nia was working alone at a long table covered with material samples and sections of a presentation model. He stopped near her desk. "You're cutting that incorrectly." She looked up. "Excuse me." Ren pointed toward the thin acrylic panel in her hand. "If you score from that side, the corner will fracture." Nia stared at him. "You repair lights and doors. That doesn't answer the question." Ren picked up a discarded piece of acrylic. He turned it over. "The tension is different here." He drew the blade once across the surface. Then he pressed down and produced a clean edge. Nia looked at the piece, then at him. "Where did you learn that?" Ren placed the blade down. "Experience. Doing what? Breaking expensive things?" She almost laughed. Instead, she held his gaze. "You answer questions like a lawyer." "No, lawyers use more words." He started toward the lamp. Nia watched him replace it. His hands moved efficiently, but there was nothing theatrical about it. He never seemed to show off competence. He simply used it. When he finished, she pushed one of the presentation panels toward him. "Fine." Ren looked down. "Fine. You clearly have opinions. Tell me what's wrong with it." He studied the model. Nia expected a polite comment. Instead, he moved around the table. "This entrance is too narrow." Her eyebrows rose. "It meets code. I didn't say it violates code." "Then what's wrong with it?" "People won't enter the way you think they will." She folded her arms. "And how will they enter?" Ren indicated the main corridor. "Your eye is pulling them toward the sculpture wall first. Then they have to turn back toward reception." "In a quiet building, that's fine. During an event, people will create congestion here." Nia looked at the model again. She hated that he was right. "Do you secretly read architecture journals while polishing floors?" "Sometimes they're left in the recycling." She gave him a flat look. Ren's mouth twitched. "You're enjoying this?" "A little." Nia reached for a pencil and altered the circulation line on her plan. Ren turned away. "Wait." He stopped. She looked at the model. "Thank you." He nodded once. "You would have seen it eventually?" That answer irritated her less than praise would have. 2 nights later, Nia heard piano music while crossing the executive level. The sound came from a small hospitality lounge, rarely used outside board visits. She followed it. The door was open. Ren sat at the piano. His maintenance jacket was folded over the back of a chair. His sleeves were rolled to his forearms. He played without sheet music, his posture relaxed in a way Nia had never seen at work. She stayed near the doorway. The piece was restrained and precise. Nothing showy. When he finished, he kept his hands resting on the keys for a moment. "You can come in." Nia frowned. "You knew I was here." "You stopped walking." She entered. "You really are becoming irritating." "So I've been told. Your grandmother again?" He looked at her. This time the smile came more slowly. "Yes." Nia sat on the edge of a nearby chair. "You said she taught you to cook." "She did." "And piano." She insisted. "That sounds serious." She was. His tone changed just enough for Nia not to joke. She raised you for a long time. Nia waited. Ren did not continue. She didn't press him. After a moment, he played a few quiet notes. What about you? What about me? You never talk about London. Nia leaned back. There isn't much to say. Ren glanced at her. That usually means there is. She let out a short breath. My former fiancé worked in the same industry. Ren stopped playing. We were together for 4 years. When things ended, he didn't do anything dramatic. He didn't need to. She looked toward the closed piano lid. He simply stopped correcting people when they implied he'd helped build my career. Ren's expression hardened slightly. He knew that wasn't true. Yes. And he allowed it. Yes. The silence stretched. Nia continued before she could reconsider. I transferred because I was tired of walking into rooms and wondering whether people saw my work or the woman whose engagement had collapsed. Ren said nothing for several seconds. Then he asked, Do you regret leaving? No. Do you regret him? Nia looked at him. That is a very Japanese way to ask a question. His eyebrows lifted. How efficient, direct, slightly dangerous. Ren almost smiled. Nia considered her answer. No. I regret how long I let someone else's opinion affect the way I saw myself. Ren lowered his gaze. That sounds familiar. She noticed it immediately. From experience. His phone vibrated before he answered. He checked the screen. Again, he went still. Attention sharpened. Posture straightened. He stood. I need to take this. Nia saw only the first line before he turned the screen away. Takamori board office. This time, she knew she had read it correctly. Ren stepped into the corridor. He spoke quietly in Japanese. Nia understood almost none of it, but she recognized the tone. Not deferential. Decisive. A minute later, he returned. Everything okay? She asked. Yes. That was the board office. Ren stopped. Nia did not soften it. I saw it. He held her gaze. Neither of them pretended otherwise. You've also been collected by a chauffeur, she continued. Senior security staff, listen to you. You know more about design than half the junior team, and I'm fairly certain one of the board directors bowed to you yesterday. Ren said nothing. Nia stepped closer. Who are you? His expression did not change, but something behind it did. Caution. I told you my name. That wasn't my question. No. She paused. Ren looked toward the empty corridor. Then, back at her. I came here because I wanted to understand people when they weren't performing for someone important. Nia frowned. That sounds even less like an answer. It is the only one I can give you tonight. Can't or won't. The honesty surprised her. Nia absorbed it. She should have walked away. Instead, she asked, Are you using me? Ren's answer came immediately. No. Am I part of whatever you're doing here? No. Then, why keep talking to me? For the first time, his composure shifted. He looked at her differently. Longer, because there was no convenient answer. Finally, he said, Because you spoke to me before you thought I was worth knowing. Nia's expression softened despite herself. That doesn't mean I trust you. I know. You're hiding something significant. I know that too. She studied him. And yet, I'm still standing here. Ren gave a restrained smile. I noticed. Nia picked up her bag. Don't make me regret it. His smile disappeared. I'll try not to. She reached the doorway. She stopped. One more thing. Yes, the model entrance. Ren waited. I changed it. Good. It works better. I know. She stared at him, then laughed once and walked away. Behind her, Ren remained beside the piano. He did not follow, but for the first time, Nia realized whatever separated them wasn't just curiosity. Trust was growing between them, and now there was something dangerous beside it. Ren wanted that trust badly enough that he feared what the truth might do to it. By Monday morning, Ren was gone. Not missing. Gone. His maintenance cart had been replaced by another attendant's. His name no longer appeared on the evening facilities schedule. The piano lounge remained locked. Even the security guards who usually greeted him by name answered Nia's questions with careful shrugs. She stopped asking after the second day. The annual leadership reception was scheduled for Thursday night. By then, the entire headquarters was consumed by it. Senior managers rehearsed introductions. Assistants revised seating charts. Employees who normally ignored corporate announcements suddenly knew the names of board members from Tokyo, Seoul, London, and Dubai. The reason was simple. The chairman was coming. Nobody on Nia's floor had met him. Most had never even seen a verified photograph. "He's probably 71, designer said, while adjusting his tie in the reflection of a glass partition. No chance, another replied. "I heard he's the founder's grandson." Nia kept working. The conversation continued around her. The name Takamori meant wealth property, hotels, logistics, investment funds. It appeared on buildings across Asia and Africa. Everyone knew the family. Almost no one knew the man who ran it. Nia thought about Ren's phone, the board office, the driver, the way he had said he wanted to see people when they were not performing for someone important. By Thursday afternoon, the answer felt close enough to touch. She still hoped she was wrong. The reception was held in the upper ballroom of a hotel owned by the group. Nia arrived with the rest of the design department. She wore a dark blue dress and carried nothing except her phone and a small clutch. Around her, executives moved between tables, smiling harder than they did at work. At 7:30, the lights lowered slightly. Conversation faded. The host stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us." Nia barely listened to the opening remarks. Then, the host changed tone. "As you know, this evening marks a leadership transition within Takamori Property Group." Several people straightened. "Our chairman has chosen to address employees personally before assuming full public duties across the group." Nia's hand tightened around her glass. The ballroom doors opened. Board members entered first. 3 senior directors, 2 representatives from the founding family. Then Ren walked in. Not behind them, at the center. The maintenance uniform was gone. He wore a black tailored suit, white shirt, no tie. His posture was the same. His expression was the same. Only the room had changed around him. People stood. A senior executive near Nia whispered, "That's him." The host waited until Ren reached the stage. "Please welcome Mr. Renji Takamori, controlling shareholder and chairman of Takamori Property Group." Nia did not move. The noise around her seemed to separate into pieces. Applause, chair shifting, people whispering. Someone beside her saying, "He was in our building." Ren took the microphone. He did not smile immediately. "For the last 11 months, I have worked inside several Takamori properties. I was on ordinary operational assignments." A wave of murmurs moved through the room. Facilities, guest services, maintenance support, night operations. His eyes moved across the audience. For some of you, this explains conversations that may have seemed unusual. A few nervous laughs followed. Ren let them pass. "I did it because reports tell me what a company earns. Audits tell me where money goes. Surveys tell me what people are willing to say when their names are attached." He paused. "They do not tell me how someone behaves toward a cleaner after midnight." The room became still. Nia watched him. He was not humiliating anyone. That almost made it worse. I wanted to know who solved problems without recognition, who treated support staff with respect, who used position carelessly, who understood that leadership is visible long before a title is. His gaze stopped briefly near the design tables. Near her, then moved on. "The company will make changes based on what I observed. Some operational, some cultural. None will depend on public embarrassment." That was all he said about it. No names, no revenge, no dramatic exposure. He thanked the staff, introduced the new governance structure, and stepped away from the microphone. Within minutes, the room was alive with whispers. Nia stayed at her table. A board assistant approached 20 minutes later. "Ms. Okafor, yes. Mr. Takamori would like a private word if you're willing." "If you're willing." Nia noticed the phrasing. She followed the assistant to a small conference room beyond the ballroom. Ren was waiting alone. For several seconds, they said nothing. Then Nia closed the door. "Renji." He nodded. "That is my full name." I gathered that. He absorbed the sharpness without reacting. Nia set her clutch on the table. "You let me sit across from you and tell you I didn't know who you were. Yes. You watched me try to figure it out. Yes. And every time I got close, you gave me just enough truth to avoid lying directly." Ren looked down once. Yes, that answer landed harder than an excuse would have. Nia stepped back from him. "I thought we were becoming friends." "We were. No, I was becoming friends with someone whose life I did not understand." "That is fair." She looked at him. "Do not agree with me, just because it makes this easier." His expression tightened. "It does not make this easier." "Then explain it." Ren took a moment. "The assignment began before I met you. I wanted to understand the company without people adjusting themselves around my name. That part I understand." "Then I met you." Silence. "You treated me normally. You argued with me. You ignored status because you believed I had none. And I—" He stopped. Nia waited. "I did not want that to change." Her face hardened. "So, you protected the version of me that didn't know the truth." "Yes, that was selfish. Yes." This time she did not object to the agreement. Ren continued. "I should have told you earlier. You should have." "I knew that. Then why didn't you—" His eyes stayed on hers. "Because I was afraid you would start seeing the chairman before you saw me." Nia let out a controlled breath. "You didn't trust me enough to let me decide." The words struck him differently. He looked away. No, it was the first answer of the evening that sounded difficult for him to admit. Nia folded her arms. "And now I'm trying not to make the same mistake twice." She said nothing. Ren took one step closer, then stopped well short of her. "There is something else you deserve to know." Nia's expression changed slightly. "I care about you." She paused. "More than I intended to." No flourish, no practiced speech. Just the statement. Ren continued. "I would like the chance to be with you honestly." Nia closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, the anger had changed shape. "I care about you too." Hope entered his face. She stopped it immediately. "But I can't do this." Ren became still. Ren became, "My last relationship already taught me what happens when people think a woman's work belongs to the man beside her." He said nothing. "If I date the chairman now, every decision involving me becomes questionable. Every promotion, every project, every room I enter." Ren looked at her carefully. "You think I would interfere?" "No." That answer surprised him. "I think other people will always wonder whether you did." He understood then. Nia picked up her clutch. "I have spent too long rebuilding my name to hand people a new reason to doubt it." Ren nodded slowly. No argument came, no promise that money could fix it, no request for secrecy. Finally he said, "Then I will not ask you to choose between me and your work." Nia studied him. "You mean that, yes. And you won't make this complicated? I already made it complicated." A faint, tired smile appeared. "I can at least stop making it worse." Nia looked at him for another second. Then she opened the door. Before leaving, she stopped. "For what it's worth, the man I knew in the maintenance uniform was real." Ren's expression shifted. She continued, "That's why this hurts." Then she walked back toward the ballroom, leaving Ren alone with the one thing his hidden position had never allowed him to practice: not controlling the outcome. The following Monday, Nia saw Ren again for the first time since the reception. He was no longer wearing a maintenance uniform. He crossed the main lobby with two senior executives beside him. Dressed in a dark suit, tablet in hand, he spoke quietly about a regional acquisition. People stepped aside when he walked by. Security guards straightened. Managers stopped conversations. Junior staff watched him pass. Ren noticed Nia near the elevators. For a second, he looked only at her. Then he gave her the same small nod he had always given her. Nothing more. Nia returned it. That was how they began again. Not with a conversation, with distance, at work. Ren treated her exactly as he treated the other designers. He did not summon her to the executive floor. He did not send messages through assistants. When her team presented a revised retail concept to senior leadership, he asked 2 questions about circulation and cost. He then moved to the next department. He did not praise her more than the others. He did not praise her less. Nia noticed both. Outside work, the silence was different. 3 weeks passed before she contacted him. Coffee. His response came several minutes later. If you're asking as Nia, yes. She stared at the screen, then typed I'm asking as Nia. They met at a small cafe several blocks from headquarters. Ren arrived alone. No driver entered with him. No assistant waited at the table. He wore a simple gray sweater and looked less guarded than he had at the reception. Nia took the seat opposite him. You really disappeared. I was trying to respect what you asked for. I asked you not to complicate my career. I assumed appearing constantly beside you would qualify. She almost smiled. It would. Ren nodded. Neither of them discussed the relationship directly. They talked about work food, a piano performance he wanted to attend, and the difficulty Nia was having with a public housing concept. It was different from before, but it was not worse. For the first time, Nia knew exactly who was sitting across from her. And Ren knew she had come anyway. A month later, Takamori Property Group announced an international internal competition. The company had acquired land for a major public development project, a community complex combining a library health services, flexible workspaces, and affordable retail units. The winning architect would lead the project. Every eligible designer could submit. Names would be removed from all entries. An external panel would judge them. The announcement changed the entire design floor. Within hours, people were swapping ideas, timelines, and gossip. Nia read the competition rules twice. Then, she opened a blank file. Adam, now working on another team, stopped at her desk. You're entering. It was not a question. Yes? He looked at her screen. You know, this project will consume your life. For a few weeks, you said that about the last one. Nia smiled. This one matters. It did. Not because of Ren. That was precisely why it mattered. She wanted one result inside Takamori Property Group that could not be attached to anyone else's name. Ren understood the same problem before she had to explain it. 2 days after the competition opened, the company issued a governance notice. Renji Takamori would have no access to submissions, scoring shortlists, or panel discussions. His voting rights on the final appointment were temporarily delegated to 2 independent board members. Nia read the notice alone at her desk. There was no private message attached, no explanation. Ren had simply removed himself. She closed the document and returned to work. For the next 3 weeks, she barely saw him. That was partly deliberate. Nia worked early mornings and late nights, testing layouts, reducing unnecessary floor area, rebuilding the circulation plan twice. She rejected her first design after 8 days. The second looked better but failed financially. The third finally worked. It was not dramatic. That was what she liked about it. The building could be maintained easily. Families could enter without passing through expensive commercial areas. Small businesses received visible frontage without being separated from public services. The central courtyard connected each function without forcing one group through another. She remembered something Ren had once said about the entrance of her presentation model. People will not move the way you imagine, just because the drawing looks elegant. She smiled when the memory surfaced. Then she changed the entrance. Submission day arrived. Nia uploaded the final file under a number. No name, no photograph, no department. Then there was nothing left to do. The judging took 6 days. On the 7th, employees were called into the auditorium. Nia sat near the middle with the design team. 5 external architects sat on stage. The head judge began with a short explanation of the process. 43 submissions, 8 finalists, 1 unanimous winner. Nia listened without allowing herself to expect anything. The winning number appeared on the screen. 17. For several seconds, she did not react. Then Adam grabbed her arm. "Nia." She looked at him. "That's yours." The next screen confirmed it. Nia Okafor. Applause rose around her. Nia stayed seated for half a second longer than everyone expected. Then she stood. No one looked toward Ren. That was the first thing she noticed. People were looking at her work. She stood at the score screen. The head judge described the design's strengths: clarity, accessibility, cost, discipline, operational realism. Nia walked onto the stage. She accepted the panel's report with both hands. Only then did she see Ren standing near the rear entrance. He had not taken a place beside the judges. He found out the result at the same moment as everyone else. His expression was controlled, but she saw the pride anyway. Later that afternoon, the formal appointment was issued. Project lead Nia Okafor. The recommendation came from the external panel and the delegated board committee. Ren's name appeared nowhere in the approval chain. Nia found him that evening in a conference room reviewing documents. She knocked once. He looked up. "Come in." She placed the appointment letter on the table between them. "You planned this carefully." Ren glanced at it. "The process. Your absence from it." "Yes, you could have stayed involved. I could have, but you didn't." "No." Nia held his gaze for a long moment. Ren said nothing more. He offered no explanation for what his restraint meant. He let the action speak for itself. Finally, she said, "Thank you." Ren shook his head. "You won it." "I know." That answer made him look at her anew. Nia stepped closer to the table. "That's why I'm thanking you." Silence settled between them. Not awkward, not unfinished. Something had shifted. Ren had once hidden his identity because he feared losing her. Now he had stepped deliberately away from power. Keeping her required something harder. He trusted her to stand alone. 3 months later, Nia stopped checking whether people were watching when Ren entered a room. That had taken longer than she expected. At first, every interaction carried awareness. A conversation beside the elevators felt visible. Coffee in the lobby felt visible. Even standing beside him during a project review made her wonder what assumptions were forming around them. Then, the work became too demanding for that kind of attention. The community complex moved into development. Nia led design meetings, challenged consultants, rejected expensive changes she believed weakened the project, and learned quickly that winning a competition had been easier than carrying responsibility for the result. Some decisions made people unhappy. She made them anyway. Her team stopped treating her like the architect who had won a competition and started treating her like the person responsible when something failed. She preferred that. Ren kept his distance professionally. When the project required executive approval, he attended the same meetings as everyone else. He questioned costs, he challenged timelines. Once in front of 8 senior managers, he rejected one of Nia's recommendations. She argued back. The room became very quiet. Ren listened, asked for the supporting numbers, then changed his decision when she proved her case. After the meeting, nobody whispered about favoritism. They argued about the budget. Nia considered that progress. Outside work, they had settled into something less defined. They met for coffee sometimes. Once Ren took her to a small Japanese restaurant where the owner greeted him by his first name and ignored his title completely. Another evening, Nia dragged him through a furniture market because she needed ideas for a public seating area. He complained about nearly every chair she liked. She stopped asking his opinion. He continued giving it. They never discussed the conversation at the reception. Ren had told her how he felt. Nia had answered honestly. There was nothing useful in repeating it. Then, one Friday evening, she finished a project review after 10. The office was nearly empty. She shut down her computer, collected her drawings, and entered the lobby. Ren was standing near the far wall. He was adjusting a picture frame. Nia stopped. For several seconds, she simply watched. The frame was barely crooked. He corrected it anyway. You own companies in 4 countries. Ren glanced over. 5. That makes this worse. He stepped back to inspect the frame. It was uneven. You employ people specifically to fix uneven things. They missed it. Nia laughed. The sound carried through the empty lobby. Ren picked up his jacket from a nearby chair. You finished late. Final accessibility review. How bad? Only 3 consultants tried to convince me that unnecessary expense was actually innovation, and I disappointed them. Ren nodded approvingly. They walked toward the doors. Outside, a light rain had begun. A black executive car waited beneath the entrance canopy. The driver stepped forward. Ren looked at Nia. Do you need a ride? She looked at the car. Months earlier, seeing one like it had been the first crack in the identity Ren had built around himself. Now it looked ordinary. No. Ren nodded. Good night, then. Nia did not move. He noticed. What, you're leaving? You said no. I said I don't need the car. Understanding came slowly. Nia pointed toward his bag. You still carry that ridiculous umbrella. Ren stared at her. He reached inside. The same plain black umbrella appeared. Nia smiled. I knew it. It works. Barely. He opened it. Neither of them stepped beneath it yet. Ren studied her face. Nia. She looked at him. You don't have to explain anything. I know. That mattered. She moved closer. I used to think the problem was your position. Ren remained silent. It wasn't. Rain struck the pavement beyond the canopy. Nia looked toward the street. My engagement ended, and I spent months angry because people attached my work to someone else. Then I came here and decided I would never give anybody that kind of power over me again. Ren listened without interrupting. The problem was that I turned independence into another kind of fear. His expression changed slightly. Nia continued. I thought protecting myself meant never allowing anyone close enough to affect the way people saw me. She looked at him again. But people will always make assumptions. Yes, I can't build my life around preventing every one of them. Ren said nothing. Nia had expected the admission to feel larger. It didn't. It felt simple, clear. I know what my work is worth now. A faint smile appeared on his face. So do I. That wasn't permission to compliment me. I wasn't asking. She smiled. Then her expression became serious again. And I know who you are. Ren's gaze stayed on hers. Not the attendant. No, not the chairman either. He waited. The man who hid because he wanted one relationship untouched by his position. Ren looked away briefly. That wasn't my finest decision. No. She stepped under the umbrella. But you stopped hiding. He looked at her. And you learned when not to use your power. The distance between them had narrowed without either moving deliberately. Ren asked quietly, What are you saying? Nia exhaled. I'm saying I don't want to keep treating something good like a threat, just because it could become complicated. He remained still. She almost laughed. You're usually faster than this. I'm being careful. I noticed. Ren's voice lowered. Are you choosing this? The question was exactly right. Not, do you forgive me? Not, do you love me? Not, have I waited long enough? Nia nodded. Yes. Something changed in his face. Not triumph. Relief. He offered his hand. Nia looked at it, then took it. No one was there to see. That also felt right. They started walking. The umbrella was still too small. Within half a block, rain had reached Nia's shoulder. She looked at him. You said this would cover 2 people. I was optimistic. You were wrong. It happens. Rarely, apparently. Ren shifted the umbrella toward her. She pushed it back toward the center. Stop. You're getting wet? So are you. I don't mind. I know. They had finally stopped playing those parts. Ren had spent too long thinking care meant taking everything on himself. Nia had spent too long thinking freedom meant needing no one. Now neither of them had to play that part. At the corner, Ren's phone vibrated. He checked it. A board message. Nia raised an eyebrow. "Chairman, unfortunately. Go answer it." Ren slipped the phone back into his pocket. "It can wait 10 minutes." She offered no objection. They kept walking. Months later, when the first phase of the community complex opened, Nia stood with her team. Families entered the building for the first time. She watched the people move through the entrance just as she had planned. No congestion, no confusion. Ren stood several meters away, speaking with local partners. He did not come over until the formal work was finished. When he finally did, he looked toward the entrance. "You changed the circulation." Nia smiled. "You noticed. I always notice details." "I know." His hand found hers briefly between them. No announcement, no performance. Just a choice they no longer needed to hide from themselves. Love feels safer when power stops deciding for us, and trust lets both people stay whole. Subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what you think really changed them.